All right, so I'm starting the video, and it says here on page, it starts like this. It says, Drush Shani Be'inyan Alayla V'hatardema V'hanisira. Okay, so I didn't see this yet, so let's see what it says. We'll read down below in the Tikkun. Let me get a little bit better here. There we go. It says, ki bezera b'chai Sarah. Amu gabi haku gab the answer of the Mishal min Rashbi. Olav Shalom Inyan Hatfilus in regards to Tefilus. For Ambalei ki b'tefilus shakris havi yimide tach bekeni. Or b'tefilus emincha havi smolu tachas the roshi. Okay, so that's left and right and left. Of the tefilus arvis is yehibis itesecha b'bein deroi malko. So he says that at Minchot, at Ma'ariv time, what happens is, I wouldn't have thought, thinking like this, but he says that at Ma'ariv time, the female aspect is now between the shoulders of the king, which is Zeranpin, Muvar Bezoyer, the Adam Echod Shol es Rebbe Shimon, Madura Tefilas Erevis Rishus. That's the question, because we see this, everybody says this. So what's pshat? So this like maybe a big pshat. He says the tefillah shakris he bebechinas yimini tach bekeni v'nisakta Abraham. Okay, so he started this on the shemidah bechesed zroa yamin. The tefillah emencha he bebechinas small tach the roshi. So he's touching the avos onto these phrases. So this is the left arm underneath my head. Of Isaac the Rabbi Yitzchak, Shemidah small, who was the left arm. V'al yedera tefilas elu anim misaknim v'vivim es hanukva el bein zroas hazachar kahachana al zivuk. Okay, so now these two things bring her very close and in a complete hug, so to speak. And we're speaking metaphorically like that. V'la'achar mekan b'tefillas arvis na'asach hazivuk atzmo v'lokamon yivura v'mecha b'tiretz lo b'zeh. So there's some stuff over here. There's some things going on over here. So let's go on to number bet. So he says, now this is really a hard one for me. I mean, like one I really need schooling on. He says, b'tefillas shakris and mincha na'asis hachana b'leya l'zivuk da'arvis. So it's a preparation. He says what's happening in the Shachim Rabbins, because he's really referring back to what we were just learning, which to try to figure it out. He says the Shachris and Mincha are Na'asis Achana B'Leah, because the Yichud that takes place at nighttime is with Leah, the Zivug, the Arvis. So how there is, I learned with Mordechai Shmalo a bit on Afilas. At first he wanted to do Birchas Kohanim. Birchas Kohanim and Nefilas Apayim go together. And over there it goes into real detail exactly how that Yichud takes place, because that's the Yichud of Kad Shaus that takes place in Nefilas Apayim. And we got as far as we could get. I mean, it was as a view. He's going to go back into talking about this again. And let's see how it could work. Bebira inyan hu ki b'tefillas shakris hu zivug Yaakov v'Rachel. Avacha v'ein zivug le'Leah, but there's no yichud that takes place with Leah. Avacha v'yesham b'bechinas yimini tach bekeni, but there is that concept of the right hand being hugging. Hu b'chinas achesed ha'ma'or v'ava. So that's the concept of something really giving. You're giving. Mevar Rab Damasha Bevura Bezoyer B'tefillas Shakris Mincha Na'ase Rak HaChona Chibuk. It's a chona. It's a chibuk. It's not yichud. Al Hazivuk the Arvis, which is going to take place there. Ein Zecha B'Yakov V'Rachel. That what you're talking about here, and this is very hard for me to conceive what is behind this thinking. Between what's the difference between Leah and Rachel. He's going to give us details on it. So maybe from the details we can infer, why you have. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm sorry. Mitcha na'asa rakachona chibuk el hazivuk de'arvis ein zer b'Yaakov v'Rachel. This is not talking about in Yaakov v'Rachel. Shechein bechem na'asa hazivuk mamish b'tefillah shachris. Okay, so that's not what you're talking about. When they're talking about this preparation for the yichud, it's not talking about Yaakov and Rachel. Rak chibuk v'chachona l'zivuk. That what we're talking about here. Ella the ma'irech of the gabe hazivuk im leah, right? ולגבי רבי זה וזכר באמר שבתפילו שקריס ומנחה נעשה בבם רק הכנה על הזיווג עם Leah. So the zivug and Leah is going to take place at nighttime. If it's so interesting, we say that Leah has bad eyes, or she has no eyes, or we say that Rachel has no eyes. It's really confused a little bit. Okay, anyway, but the fetus arvis naasach b'zivuk atzmo. That's when the yichud actually takes v'chachonach naasach, but the fetus shachris who b'bechinas v'yemini tach bekeni chivuk shel yad yamin shu b'bechinas chesed. V'achakach b'tefilas mincha, then you move to the gevurdik side. Oz Leah itmach b'baz Oz Leah. I said Leah. Itmach b'baz smola tachas roshi. So now we're talking about Leah. So Leah said in regard to her that I'm going to put my left arm under my head. Put your left arm under my head, I guess. It said to her, smolo tachas roshi. Okay, so let's see how that translates. So hachana hanase b'tefillas mincha, who bechinas small tachas roshi, shul chibuk small, which is hugging the left, the hugging of the left. If the fetus arvis as is yahevis Leah bein shnei droim the malchut. So now you see that this is what you're hugging Leah at this point. So therefore you have brought her into your bosom, so to speak, the bosom of the malchut. There's a lot of questions about this, exactly how this goes. So I want to look at the Shefa because try to see what angles they're coming at this with from. That's where she's at. This is your kavana when you're thinking about where you're davening at Ma'ariv. This is what's happening here. And that's when Zer Anpin makes a yichud with Leah. Now, I'm trying to think how much more I want to do with this. I'll do number 5. Okay, number hey. So this is the idea. What is that? What does that mean? What does that pasuk mean? He said, so the pasuk v'yihi b'boker v'hi Leah. Behind the shachar zivuv shehoya b'laylo hoya im Leah. When he woke up and he saw he'd been living with Leah, v'lo im Rachel. Okay, so there's a couple of things that I thought we would look at. I'm not sure that I got this, down pat. That's for sure. Let's see what we could see down in the Shefa. The first one I thought I would do was this one here, number bet, which is on page Peches. So let's look over there and see what bet says. He said, "But the Filas Arvis, Oz is Yehidus Leah bein Shnei Deroin de Malka, Oz er Anpin Misdavik b'mamish in Leah." So Hiksha Hashem and Shasasam. So this is a problem, he says. So he says, why? He says, the Hocha, Mavur, the Arvis, Naasa Zivug Mamish. He says that there's a yichud takes place. The El up above is a Mavur, Shabbatafidus Arvis, who rock Bechinas Kibuk, a small Kahachana, the Zivug. So you got a different version over there. You and Sham, so he says, look at that. Okay, so that's a different version. So maybe it doesn't mean exactly what you said, because you said there's a zivug takes place with Leah. Now, I'm just trying to think, the main zivug is in the morning with Rachel. And he's saying, while that's going on, there's also this aspect of the right arm, which is hugging Leah. But Leah and Rachel are at different places. But Leah's up above. So it's just a little confusing, the logistics of it. And like I said, over there in the Filas Apayim, you've got some logistics. V'azer anpin mizdavig mamish im leia. So that's what happens then. He said, "Bedrosh zechem bevur the hazivug anaaze b'tefilas arvis, who's zivug to Yisrael v'leia." Now, here's the whole thing. Over there in the Filas Apayim, they're telling you that there's parts of between from the Chaz of Lamala called Yisrael. And he says, and I said, I think that's what he's talking about here. Who zivug the Yisrael v'leia, which would be Lamala and a Chaz. So when you say, normally, when you say Yisrael, you're thinking Zeranpin. But that's, you can't, it's contradicted in many different places, shows it out, points it out here. The Rav is saying like this, that this yichud that takes place in Arvis, who zivug the Yaakov Leah, it's Yaakov and Leah. Shem and Sasan, the Shem and Sasan, and he leaves it like that. So once again, you're looking at the different languages that people use to try to understand what we're talking about. Let's read a little bit. A lesson. So now the first time we're seeing the lesson. I don't know if that really solved anything for me, but let's go to V'chagos alefen hikosav the achein hazivuk hu the Yaakov and Leah. So it comes out that the yichud is between Yaakov and Leah. An kashecha ba'ola Yaakov l'mal l'chazav the zer anpin. But when he comes up above, Yaakov comes up above the zer anpin. Hu nichlal im zer anpin, he becomes mamish like a part of zer anpin he is zer anpin, because of the same height. Now the question is, how do you get up there? What caused him to grow? That's that's little bits and pieces. Try to put that together. We'll see. And therefore he's considered to be zer anpin, and this is the reason for the language. So therefore it's a yichud leah with zer anpin, but it really means with Yaakov and more to that. Bashari Rachmim, he says also. Let me see if I can find that where it is. Okay. Miyashev the Yeshnam Shnei Zivugim and the Asaka Ace at the same time. Two Zivugim are taking place. Hein Zivug the Zer Anpin V'leia Hein Zivug the Yaakov V'leia. Yehu and Sham. So once again, these are different ideas. It's like he's dropping it in. V'Albana Devarim V'Meluyev. So he says we're going to see them really come out big in the Simon Vav Vav. I'll call upon him. He says, in any case, B'chol Hasidurim, all the Shishurim, including the Siddur Rishash, and he says, V'ha'ashkenazim, Kosvu, Shechazivug the Arvis, who the Yaakov V'leia. So when he says in the Ashkenazim, I was just wondering what he's talking about. So, I don't know, maybe you know. Let's go on.
Yeah?
Yeah? You do?
There's called Siduri Ha'ari. There are 3 Siduri Ha'ari. They're written by Ashkenazim.
You're kidding. Do you have them?
They're on Chachma. They're on the Hebrew books. It's called Siddur of Kol Yaakov or Siddur of Shabbosai, Siddur of Asher. Some of them are by Hasidim.
All right, maybe you could text that to me in Skype. Would you could do that?
Yeah.
Because I really didn't know didn't know. It's very interesting just to be able to see it. So let's go. So where are we now? I was going to go to I don't know. That was number Gimel, wasn't it? A number base, a number Gimel. Yeah, and this would be number Daled. But I think we may be someplace else. So let's see where we're at now. Daled goes where? Daled is down below. Let's go to the to that question he had before, which is Sod Tefilas Arvis Rishus, the secret why Arvis is called Rishus, V'chatam Shekavua Chova, and then the reason why it was Koveya to be a Chov. So let's see what's playing down here. That would be number Vav. So he said in reading in the Tiv, V'zecha v'sod Tefilas Arvis Rishus Ki ayadei shtei tefilus shakris u'mencha, Gvar is Yehivis Leah ben Droi Malka v'chazivug muchan ma'atzma. There's nothing more to do. So I'm not sure what that means. B'zech ha'mavur v'sod mash amr chazal, that tefilus arvis rishus, hu machmas sheb'shnei ha-tefilus rishonis shakris u'mencha b'chem makinim as Leah the zivug the arvis. This is a big chiddush in terms of going to daven. You go to the daven, that you realize that this is two different things, just a kavana, two different things happening. So therefore, they're an obligation. Masha ein came by the tefillas arvis, which is not the case in arvis. And you have to do them because you have to hug her. So she's already there. So it happens then, therefore, by itself, not from us. He rishus. So therefore, that's called its rishus. And that actually is the answer that the Rashbi gave to that man. That's the reason for the concept of rishus at nighttime. Let's see if I can repeat it. He says, so he says, Masha Ein came to tefillas arvis, since everything is already prepared, so therefore you don't have to. It's going to happen by itself. And that's rishus. So he says, so I don't know if there's something on this that was number Daled. No, Daled is further down. So we have a few minutes. Amnam achar ha'churban, after the churban took place, Vizman Galos, when the Galos started in, also chova. They made a chova. So he says, let me see, I should be reading down below. So let's see. Okay, he's made. Okay, I found it now. I was reading the wrong place. I think. After Vizman Galos, it's all chova kumavur b'mishnah. The shemeiker hadin, that even though we under that the real root of the din. Tefillas arvis rishus, Gavar kiblocha b'kol yisrael osach b'lechem lechova, the chodok and b'varach rav v'tam b'zeh al pi sodom, and that shall devarim. So now he says like this, v'hatam hu, the reason for this, ki rochel afal pi sheyesh becha chumesh gevuras v'dinim, this is where she's at. In other words, for the Tani, she's behind, but he means specifically the Netzach and Hoda Zeranpin. Because there, the Netzach and Hoda, because it's below the Chazet, there you have the Chasadim on Begilui. In Me'irim, I guess they mean they shine through the body of Zeranpin, so to speak, and Mamtiking HaGevuras Shebarosh Rachel, and they sweeten the Gevuras in the head of Rachel. That's where Rachel's head is low. So she's like the Chazah. We went through this whole thing about Tibura de Liba and Tibura de Gufa. There's a lot of variation in the body that they talk about, I think. Notice the parts of Rachel nivnes makavuras the das shenim shachos alecho that pour onto her. Valkain he bechinas dinim gevuros, so that's the reason why. Amnam kevin shehi omedes akrech netzachod zeranpin, v'sham benetzachod zeranpin. There are bechinas chasadim megulim. There's where the chasadim are. Azacha chasadim megulim desham meirin mamtikim as a gevur shabarosh rochel. So that's the reason why I get confused when he says it, because the rosh rochel is at the chazah the zeranpin. So he's interchanging. I guess the main part is what's below the chazah, which is netzach and hod. So halomos connectum, and then the homedus connectum, which is opposite of the chem rachel chiba bechinas dina rafia. So therefore she becomes a dina rafia. Now that's the reason why he says that that's the case. Let's read a little bit more, because we'll read a little bit more. So he says, so Masha Kazach of the Bazar Tetzaveh, the dinim de nukva be naichim baresha. At the beginning, they're kind of calm. Inyan mitok hagevuras. There we talk about when we're talking about mitok hagevuras derachel. Ayedecha chasadim the zer anpin through the chasadim that come from zer anpin. Nizbar b'shar ma'amari Rashbi. Bebir Maimbach Bezocha Besifrach the Tznius of Beshefa Gavana, so that's something we're going to get into. I think that I don't want to go into the next thing, it's too long. And I want to come backwards also a little bit, maybe do this last one again. So we'll do it next time. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Kol tov.